So we're excited that you get to share your story today. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Shylynn. I was born in Farmington. I've lived here my whole life. I've actually attended Hills my whole life, so that's pretty special that I'm, getting to teach now at Hills Academy. I teach 5th grade.
The reason we asked you today is because you've been on quite the journey in your story. And so I wanted you to share just a little bit about the loss that you have had in your life and about how old were you at that time?
Yeah, so I actually lost my mom when I was almost 5 years old. And so after that loss, I started living with my grandparents. I call them mom and dad because I've been with them, forever.
Yeah.
And they have really impacted my life. I knew that, living through it, it was really hard, trying to understand, why did God take my mom away? Why am I kind of different from my peers? Growing up, I always looked at my friends who had siblings and their parents still. And so I really struggled with that.
I remember when you were talking, you had said that when your mom passed away, you were like she was getting better.
Yeah.
And you wanted to have that relationship.
Yeah. When my mom did pass away, I actually remember asking, my grandma, I was like, so I don't have a mom anymore? And she sat me up on the counter and she said, no, baby, you have 2 moms now, one in heaven and one, on earth. And so, like I was saying with, God blessing me with all of these other things while he was also taking away things from my life. I don't think that if I would have missed out on the opportunity to have my grandma as my mom, I wouldn't have such a strong faith. But that was something, like I had said, growing up, I, really struggled with the thought of, having, if she would have just gotten better, if she would have found God, what would my life be like living with her still, or still having her, a part of my life.
You obviously went to college. Now you're teaching at Hills Academy.
Well, I actually never saw myself teaching.
Okay.
And so once I kind of stepped into that profession, I was a little bit nervous because it was all kind of hitting me at once. I had a couple kids in my classroom that have lost parents, mothers or fathers. And I've had all those hard conversations, but one of the little girls in my class, kept saying, I miss my mom, and she would just come in crying every day. And so it's been awesome to be able to sit down and have those conversations with her, because I think growing up, I wish I would have had, the opportunity to have those conversations with some of my teachers or just people that have actually experienced that loss. And so I've just tried to sit with my kids, and remind them that God has a plan for you, even if you don't understand it. It will always work out. I always tell my kids that they have to just have faith the size of a mustard seed, because that's what I had that day, was just praying, once, God, please show me you're here. I hadn't prayed for a whole year. And so just that little glimpse of hope, in prayer, it showed me, that he was with me. And so being able to explain that to them, that even if you're going through, what feels like the lowest part of your life, all you have to do is pray. All you have to do is cry out to God, and he will show you that he's there and he will provide for you.